To take those 3 years and to write a book like Ryan does gives you a much deeper thrill, a much more important sense of pleasure, what I would call fulfillment, than just having that empty, I'm suddenly the CEO of a company and I'm famous and I'm on Instagram. It's so empty, it doesn't lead anything. It's just going to make you more depressed in the end. But the sense that you've actually built something yourself leads to the deepest pleasure that a human can have. Ryan Holiday is my dear friend, my former mentee. I'm extremely proud of him. He has outshone the master, and over the years, I've had many great conversations with him. He's perhaps the best interviewer I've ever faced because he understands my work so well, and he's so smart. So I'm extremely proud of all of the conversations and interviews we've had together. So here, for your edification and amusement, are the best moments of the many interviews I've done with Ryan Holiday. My philosophy has always been you have to make ideas your own. You have to take what somebody teaches and you have to put it into your own experience. It can't just be these dead words that you kind of digest that have no relevance to your daily experience. You have to take them and they have to come to life within you, within your own experience. So you read a passage and it's not maybe what I'm really going through right now, but you kind of maybe recall some experiences in the past that might be relevant. And then the second day you come upon something that is maybe a little bit closer. And then as you go through it more and more and more, that kind of soaks in and you see more and more access points to your daily experience. And then it can kind of become something that you internalize.
That connects to the thing that you and I made together, which is the Amor Fati coin.
Yes.
Which is the idea that it's also a Nietzsche phrase of sort of loving everything that happens to you, not resenting it, not fighting against it, not carrying around a grudge or a burden, but sort of embracing it and finding the good in it.
Yeah.
Where does that fit in with our human nature?
It doesn't fit in because it's not natural to us. Our natural frame, our natural starting position is when something bad happens, why me? To feel sort of a grievance, to feel that things aren't fair, to feel that other people aren't giving you what you want or what you deserve. We start from a position of feeling kind of sorry for ourselves.
Right.
We deserve more than what we're getting. And so a lot of what I'm talking about in this book is overcoming some of these natural elements in human nature and turning them around and using them for another purpose, another way. And Amor Fati is very powerful in that you train yourself to accept everything that happens. It's sort of a banality to say that things happen for a reason, but there's some truth to it. For Nietzsche, it was, this is life. Life involves pain. Life involves adversity. You're going to die one day and it's not going to be pleasant. Your friends and family members, they're going to die one day and it's not going to be pleasant. You're going to have failure in life. People are going to hurt you. But that is life. That's what it is. So to resist that, to be angry about that, means to not love life itself. Schopenhauer has this quote that if you're walking down the street and you hit your foot against a rock, you don't go get angry at the rock, right? Well,
Sure.
People are rocks in your way sometimes.
Right.
They are who they are. They have their own nature, and that nature isn't yours, and it's going to clash with you sometimes. And that is just what it means to be a human being, an adult in the world today, in any world. So are you going to be like complaining and blaming the fact that it is a boxing ring? Are you going to complain that people have a nature where they have an ego, where they're full of envy, where they're passive aggressive? And then in the process of complaining, you're putting yourself at a continual disadvantage. Or are you going to have some distance and be like a boxer in a ring and be smart and intelligent about it? And I just think it's a brilliant metaphor for life. It's a brilliant metaphor for being in control and for accepting the fact that some people play a little bit dirty. Some people are going to hit you. It's going to hurt. But you don't whine and complain. You just figure out how are you going to defend yourself better. You have to change your idea, your concept of pleasure. People only have the sense of pleasure, particularly now, that it has to be immediate, that they have to get quick gratification. They need quick hits. But I'm trying to say, to take those 3 years and to write a book like Ryan does gives you a much deeper thrill, a much more important sense of pleasure, what I would call fulfillment, than just having that empty, I'm suddenly the CEO of a company and I'm famous and I'm on Instagram. It's so empty, it doesn't lead anything. It's just going to make you more depressed in the end. But the sense that you've actually built something yourself leads to the deepest pleasure that a human can have. I'm sorry to say that the sense of accomplishment of creating something from nothing, from building something, is to me the highest pleasure that a human can have, because we are animals that are born to make things. What I want to train you, the reader, to look at is to not look at people's, what they say or their appearance, but to look at their actions and the patterns of their behavior. So, for instance, I talk about Howard Hughes in chapter 4 as somebody who's got a very weak character, who was a horrific businessman, and people were lured in by his image of this sort of maverick aviator, kind of, great Hollywood person, etc. But if you looked at the patterns of his behavior, you would have seen that he was actually quite toxic. So stop looking at what people say about themselves and look at their actions. Because Napoleon, people don't understand, he was not only brilliant at coming up with a plan, but he was brilliant in the moment, adapting his strategies to what the opponent showed him, because he created what's called maneuver warfare, which is probably similar to what a Belichick does. And maneuver warfare isn't about the position you occupy, it's about the options that you have. So you put yourself in a position where you can go in 5 different directions, 5 different arrows. And if the moment comes, you can go here, 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 depending on what shows up, right? As opposed to the typical Prussian general who, I'm going to go this way and attack,
sheer force and strength.
Or even I'm going to make a flanking attack this way, and they only have one gear and they only go one way.
You work on this book for 7 years. You're probing human nature, the human experience. You're working on this sort of big, ambitious goal. What did you learn about your own nature, sort of having to sit alone with yourself for so many long hours?
I learned that I'm insane, basically. It was a revelation because, here I am writing about narcissism, going very deep into it. And trust me, I've known a lot of narcissists in my life. You might even be out there. And I was going, wow, Robert, you actually are a narcissist. You actually have a lot of these traits. And it wasn't a pleasant thought. And it stayed with me ever since. I keep catching myself going, you can be quite a narcissist.
Sure.
Then I wrote the chapter on aggression, the later chapter, and I'm going, damn it, man, you are one aggressive son of a bitch. I'm writing about other people and how to overcome it, but I've got these problems. So it was kind of an eye-opener in that way. People who've written to me, who read the book, and they've had the same reaction. They go, it's been kind of painful. It's a painful book to read.
No, it is. It's a mirror.
In The Art of Seduction, I talked about how telling a story lowers people's resistance, makes the mind open up. When we were like 2 or 3 years old, the sense of being carried by our parents or playing peekaboo, of not knowing what comes next, is very deeply ingrained in human psychology. So if I tell you a story about Rockefeller to illustrate aggression, I know as the reader is being pulled into this story, they don't know what I'm telling. They don't know who is the aggressor in this story. They don't know the lesson that I'm trying to derive. So they're going to want to read. They want to go further and further and further. I've tricked them into coming to page 8. Whereas if I immediately hit them with Jung and this study and sociology, their mind closes off. They're falling asleep. That's the mistake 98% of people who write books out there make. They don't think about their reader. They assume that the reader is as interested in the material as they are. You have to seduce the reader, so I tell stories.